In a recent podcast, I talked about how writing your copy, getting it out on paper first, is more valuable than a lot of the tools that are available. But I want to show you practically why this is the case. I actually wrote into Grammarly about making Grammarly less real time. Now, Grammarly is an excellent tool for readability, for spelling, for word suggestions, and it does a great job getting your language refined and also telling you about the tone of your language. However, when you're writing, especially when you type very quickly, it gets in the way of your work. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. So my concern with Grammarly is to make it less real time. I use the Chrome extension. I also use it in Word, and I use the browser bit. It's all over the place, even on my iPad. When I'm working on my iPad or my clapped out laptop that I take on travel, it actually slows down the machine quite a bit and gets in the way of being able to type the words down. As you'll see in the demonstration, is I can type fast enough that my things don't come on the screen. Now, I wrote to Grammarly and I told them, hey, look, I'm a professional writer. The real-time spell checking in Word, I even turn it off. The word suggestions I turn off because it actually gets in the way of writing. It actually distracts from the writing activity. And I can show you in a text editor how those pull downs can get in the way. But what I got back from them was to go ahead and do them a screen capture. And if I'm going to do a screen capture, I'm going to go ahead and get you guys some valuable and useful information. So what we've done is we've activated the Grammarly on an incognito Chrome browser. I'm on the contact page of Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. And when I type in Grammarly, you will see real-time underlining and the word suggestions cause distraction. Now you can see it's automatically doing some corrections, and Grammarly hasn't quite caught up with the typing in the sense of making it suggestions. But if you stop your writing to go back and correct the I and other things, you're not thinking about the writing itself. And so what I'm just going to do is a little bit of top of the mind. It is very important to keep and as you can see, it is underlining things. It is correcting words. Now, the correction of words actually happens very quickly. And in other browsers, it actually, I can type and then it'll buffer up the typing. But again, I don't need the software to do this. What I'd ideally like to see happen is that an option in settings to turn off the real-time corrections. See all these little pop-ups and stuff? That's distracting. And basically, I'd like to be able to just go click this button and then get the dialogue and do my corrections. Because one thing about Grammarly, one thing about all these artificial intelligence tools is that they do not work well with the copywriting colloquial language. So I want my settings to be, for a general audience, general levels of knowledge. I need to determine that after the fact. So if we look at our target, see it says knowledgeable. I keep putting it on general. I want an informal language. I want general here. I want to inform and convince. I want this to stay to be the defaults. But again, if I pull up the sidebar, I put my targets in, I can very quickly, you can see, I can very quickly read the text and make sure the recommendation is relevant. It keeps saying the software. I don't want the software, Okay, so it's changing my very important to essential. See, all that is great, but do you see the time it took me away from the writing? If I could write my first draft, which I usually do in TextTool, you can see that I can write a lot of stuff. This is actually every Reddit post, every comment, every answer to questions when you guys write in, type up. But I don't go through and bother correcting because it's about getting that text on the page. And so what you'll see what I mean by auto suggestion, you see that little pull down? This is an example of the pull down on screen. See, I want to get the whole paragraph out of my brain before I go back and correct the misspelling for suggestion, or the this is correction, or the topic is. Now, Grammarly, if you're a student, if you're just writing casual business communications like in email messages, all those things are very, very helpful because you're spending a very quick cycle to get the message out. But if you're writing a piece of copy, if you're writing a report or an article, if you're writing a book or long form piece, you want to get the piece down. You want to get an outline, expand the outline, make sure you have the key elements of an advertising piece. You want to make sure everything's in place without any distractions. And when I see these visual cues, these little pull downs and smiley faces and stuff, it's distracting. It's not something that I want to deal with while I'm writing. And that's kind of what I wrote here. Even it misses corrections, by the way, which every tool will do. So I just noticed here, check my state here. I was saying check my stats here. I write a lot. I want less frustration, and I want to be able to focus on the materials at hand. Now, I write in the Grammarly interface, which is really good. I pay for this account, by the way, and they have a number of apps available. When I'm on a very slow laptop, I don't want to wait for it to come up with a new suggestion. In fact, I try not to write in this tool here because it's always making these little suggestions over on the side. But again, on this tool, it's fine. I don't need the setting to stop it from making suggestions here because I'll often cut and paste work. What I'm more concerned about is when I'm on Reddit. For example, Reddit is horrible. The Grammarly will eat the text. When I'm inside of a web browser doing something, I want to make sure that I'm not getting distractions and that I can finish the thought and then click the little indicator to then review my work. That would be more functional that way. Now, for some people, they might like the real time, but again, if you're a professional writer, if you're a copywriter, if you're a marketer and you're in the business of writing, you want to make sure that you have the thought out of your mind onto the page before you have constant corrections. Imagine, you've probably done it once or twice, you're typing on a live event, just like I was doing earlier, and because you know people are watching, you're kind of already context switching in your brain and not getting the words out as much as possible. And this is actually an example of how Grammarly is really good, but there are suggestions that it makes that are not helping the copywriting. So after significant structural change on your website, all web analytics are notoriously inaccurate. I want that emotional word. I want notorious. I want subjectively. I want something that's going to slow the reader's thinking down in order to see the word that is relevant to the emotion that we want. I want to speak to the frustrations of somebody who is using Google Analytics and they are seeing it's not accurate and it doesn't make sense, and that sets up the rest of the piece. Now, unfortunately, Grammarly, I can just dismiss it, and then so now this is an okay suggestion. But do you see how easy it is to work with the tool? When I'm working with the tool inside of a browser, inside of a post box or something like that, I want to be confident that it's not trying to disrupt me. And I need a better example there. But I hope you get the point. So I'm going to send this message to support, because if they're going to make me do a screen capture, might as well do a YouTube video for you guys. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. If you have questions about improving your writing efficiency and your ability to produce words that sell and actually finish those sales letters, finish those blog posts, finish the copy that you're doing, then you want to visit www.adbriefings.co.uk, where we can help you with that. And thank you for watching. Again, I'm Justin Hitt from Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips.